Hello, today I'm going to be talking about defense mechanisms. I'm going to talk about a broader scope of a defense mechanism, what it is, how it's seen in humans, animals, even plants. I'm going to talk about some key definitions, and primarily I'm going to be talking about horned lizards and what make them so unique and interesting when it comes to defense mechanisms. So this video was created by me, Sarah Noyes. So, what is a defense mechanism? All sorts of species have them, including humans, animals, and even certain plants that like to fight off herbivores. So humans have a specific defense mechanism called the immune system. That's what fights off infection and illness. Psychologically, our minds also go through a mental process that's considered a defense mechanism, which avoids conscious conflict or anxiety. So you can see here, that's our immune system fighting off some bad bacteria and infection. So humans aren't the only ones with immune systems. Animals have them as well. But unlike humans, many species of animals need to rely on different defense mechanisms to fight off predators every single day. Prey is in constant trial for the survival of their species, and to do this, they must avoid being eaten. So you can see here an example I give is a little kitty cat with sharp claws to fight off any predators. So there's a lot to say about different types of defense mechanisms, whether it be physical or psychological, but today's focus is going to be on animals that struggle in the wild day by day fighting for survival. This could go from being a little fish in the sea utilizing their defense mechanism, or a bird in the sky. First, I'm going to go over some definitions that have to do with defense mechanisms and evolution. So, anti-predator adaptation is pretty much the evolution of defense mechanisms. It's the evolutionary adaptations developed over time which assist prey organisms in their constant struggle against predators. Next, we have symbiosis. So symbiosis is organisms of a different species forming relationships in which one or both organisms deter predators off of the other in return for food, shelter, protection, or other useful resources. So they are helping each other with the goal to survive. Now, natural selection. Natural selection is the unequal survival and reproduction of organisms due to heritable differences in their phenotypes. So the better adapted phenotypes become more common in the population, and you'll see the others with less adapted phenotypes fade out. Next, we're going to talk about some common defense mechanisms that you might see day by day. Some are used by both animals and humans. The first one is running, which seems pretty obvious. You'll run away from a predator if you see that there may be harm. The next is camouflaged. You'll see that in the army, humans using camouflage to hide, and you'll see that in animals adapting to their surroundings. Trickery is another one, where the prey might trick their predator to avoid being eaten. Another is physical. A common one is a porcupine. They're so prickly that no predator would like to eat them because they know what harm it could bring them. Next, we have chemical defense mechanisms. A good example of that would be a skunk. And everybody knows how awful a skunk smells. Well, this fights off their predators, including humans, when they feel scared. So there's a little skunk feeling threatened, and the human's like, ugh. So now I'm going to talk about some animals that have weird and unique defense mechanisms. Start off with the hairy frog. So the hairy frog is a Central African species that breaks down their own bones and pushes them out through their skin to create sharp claws like you'd see on an animal, like a cat. Similar to the hairy frog, we have the ribbed newt. So the ribbed newt shifts its ribs forward and pushes them through its skin, creating a row of spikes on either side of its body. Next, we have the hagfish. So these fish actually emit a slime from the pores, and that when mixed with water, these slimes create a goo, and this goo can actually suffocate the predator. Now, a sea cucumber. Many species of sea cucumbers are actually able to expel their internal organs, which, similar to the hagfish, create a toxic chemical that can kill the predators. And a commonly known defense mechanism is that of the opossum. They are able to play dead, although many people are unaware that this act is involuntary. Under intense fear, the opossum will actually just fall into a comatose-like state that can last for hours. And a really cool one is the chameleon. So they can use their color-changing abilities as camouflage. As shown here, they're standing up against a red apple and their skin is red. Now on to our primary focus of the day, the horned lizard. So the horned lizard is actually able to shoot streams of blood out of its eyes. This blood is mixed with a foul-tasting chemical. So, what is the horned lizard? There are 14 different species, not all of which can shoot blood from their eyes, but today we're going to talk about one. We're going to talk about the greater shorthorn lizard that is found in Canada. It is also known as the Phrynosoma hernandesi. So, the small-horned lizard, as per its name, is fairly small compared to the other lizards. It has short and stubby horns that range from 6 to 9.5 centimeters, and they also have camouflage skin, which is another defense mechanism. So their habitat. In Canada, they are found in South to North Saskatchewan and Alberta. They can be found anywhere from the plains to high up in the mountains. It is believed that more of this species inhabited Canada between 6,000 and 4,000 BC, due to the fact that the climate was warmer and drier. As the climate cooled, the lizard could only survive in smaller areas. Due to the change and destruction of their habitat, like agriculture expansion and commercial exploitation, the shorthorn lizard is at risk for extinction. The shorthorn lizard mainly feeds on specific species of ants. It can also feed on grasshoppers and occasionally beetles. So the shorthorn lizard reproduces viviparously, so that means live birth, and they could give birth from 5 up to 48 offspring. Now I'm going to talk about their defense mechanism. The horned lizard uses sinuses found within its eye sockets. They increase their blood pressure and fill up these sinuses with the blood until it's strong enough to cause the sinus walls to break, forcing the blood out. Sometimes the force is even powerful enough for the blood to squirt up to 4 or 5 feet. This defense mechanism is primarily used on coyotes, foxes, and dogs due to the fact that they have a strong reaction of distaste to the blood. It is not often used on humans. So as you can see, defense mechanisms are crucial in the animal kingdom. Defense mechanisms allow species to make it through natural selection and evolution. As you can see here, the natural selection man is saying, hey, I'm not going to choose you unless you can take care of yourself and stay alive. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope you enjoyed my video. That's all for now, and thank you for watching.